February 25th guest group critique, and I'm Mark Mitchell, and we have our honored, esteemed guest, Loraine Joyner, with us. She's on the screen in her fur,
my mastodon pelt.
Her mastodon pelt. I didn't know it got that cold in Atlanta.
Oh, it can, yeah. And it has been the last couple of days, and the wind's been blowing.
It's very attractive, but you do look like you're ready to go to an opera or the symphony instead of go out to the hunker down with us here in the critique, around the critique table.
No, this is much more fun. I'd rather be
we should be clinking champagne glasses or something. With
yeah.
Did you want to tell us, talk to us for a few minutes just about your role as the longtime art director? So I was doing the math today. It looked like you were there maybe 25, 26 years at.
Well, 23.
23.
23.
Look,
right.
She started working for a right out of her, after getting her art degree, for a school paper supply manufacturing facility, and became the art director of that.
We did. The design part of it was the decorative notes and stationery, when boxed, beautiful little stationaries were the thing, long before. This was in the early 60s, don't forget. Long before any of the modern digital social media that we communicate with each other with today.
There was something on Facebook just today about that, saying maybe it was an Atlantic article or some big article being posted on Facebook about what happened to the handwritten note. We need to bring it back, you know.
I think I saw that.
You saw that? Yeah.
And I thought, yay.
Yeah.
But hardly anybody makes that stuff anymore. You can go to the cute little shops though, and I'm telling you, Office Depot has some pretty good looking stuff.
The other thing is, if school paper supplies, and so much paperwork even now is needed to get through the curriculum in the day. And did you do those kinds of things as well?
School supplies, every kid out there has a Trapper Keeper. And that is a kind of an organizer notebook. My company invented that thing. The guy who was the head of our department engineered it and dreamed it up. And then all the decorative stuff that would go into those Trapper Keepers belonged to the art department. And we kept up with all of the fashions and styles, particularly in the teen market. We went to the New York Stationery Show every May. Then myself, my immediate boss, and the other designer in the department would meet with people at the editors at 17 magazine and Vogue and the major magazines of the day. And now those things have proliferated to the degree that you can't get around to them all. But that's what my early 20s and 30s was spent designing that kind of product.
It's not going away, is it? If it's not on paper products, it'll be on other mediums. But the idea of designing the two-dimensional space and making it navigable and clear and beautiful, it's always with us, isn't it?
I was looking around today for some boxes that might have been left over. I've got portfolio pieces, but I thought, no, this is not about me. This is about them.
Oh, that's really fun. Well, then the other one of many interesting things about your life is that you and your husband, who was also your late husband, was also a commercial artist.
Well, he worked in the printing business. He was a printing side of it.
He was on the printing. Well, both of you went to Germany and worked for Stars and Stripes, which is the official newspaper and publication of the U.S. Army.
That's right.
How fascinating is that?
Well, the fascinating part is that we were actually there during the fall of the wall. And I've got a chunk of wall I could bring down.
Is it in your office? Can you hold it up for us?
It's not here. I'd have to run someplace else in the house and get it. I forgot where I'm packing to move. And, this chaos around me is
packing. You're moving because they're shooting. She's tired, guys. She's tired of the Walking Dead crews filming down at the end of her street and blocking traffic. Speaking of walls, barricading walls and barricading population. So no kidding. And a relative is
Yeah,
is
my
in the
husband's niece
is
is a background character for Walking Dead.
she's a zombie.
She's a zombie.
She's
Annie the zombie.
and she still hasn't invited Loraine to a taping session yet. So that's
very disappointed.
That's I would put that on your resume somehow, Loraine. That you within 100 feet of the shooting of the camera crews of The Walking Dead, because it will go down history. And it started as a graphic novel, right? So
it did.
It's on topic tonight. Let's see. Virginia is telling me, Loraine, that Eric Carle was a printer himself when he was asked to do Brown Bear, Brown Bear. And isn't that interesting? I don't know whether that was when he was in Syracuse, New York, or in Germany. I don't know quite his timeline, but yeah, I bet a lot of you watching tonight have had quite a bit of printing experience, because they're still printing. They're still printing things.
We are, and I can tell you that working in this factory, I used to say I worked in a box factory, because down on the production floor, the designs that myself and the other designers came up with were translated, of course, into printing plates. And I learned all about 4-color process printing. I learned about how to make a piece of art that would be suitable for foil stamping die. I learned the terminology. And that's a big, big thing, in my opinion, for the person who's serious about being illustrator as a career, has got to know all of that terminology and many, many aspects that go beyond just what you're doing with your computer or with your paints and brushes.
Because it's still with us. It's still, a lot of it hasn't changed. Is that right?
Well, it has changed in that it's become modernized to the degree that they can scan an image and go directly to plate. They don't go through the negative.
Right.
That these days anymore, and probably everybody knows that. But if you don't, try to find a place where you can learn a little bit. I mean, just going to one of your local printing plants in the town where you are would be a good idea.
Oh, that's a real interesting thought. No one's ever suggested that before, but it's a really great idea for those of you who have not done work for print publications or done cartooning at a newspaper or something. A newspaper
would be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they do feed their presses from rolls, which is pretty much what most printers do these days. High speed, ordinarily high speed.
The stuff that you paint may not, the colors you paint may not, just like with the computer and digital, it may not come out the same way in the pre-press, or
it will not, it will never look like it looks on your screen, because we're talking about apples and oranges. We're talking about light on your screen, and we're talking about pigment on paper, which is a total different animal. But I'm telling you what, the printers these days are magicians. They get it awfully close. They're very, very, very good.
Well, then when you guys came back to the U.S., you answered an ad and that Peachtree Publications was looking for an art director, and you were hired and very quickly became the senior art director at Peachtree. Yes. It was then kind of a amalgam of regional press, children's press, or what?
Right. We had how-tos, we had cookbooks, we had trail guides, a few child psychology, self-help type books. And this had been just a collection of titles that had been around forever. And the sellers were the children's picture books. And so the company evolved very, very strategically and calmly and slowly into finding our niche. Where do we belong? What do we do best? And can it go on a backlist? And a lot of our books are backlisted.
Now, what do you mean by, just explain your terms there for us.
Okay, a backlist. Peachtree publishes your title. We feature it in the front of our catalog on the front list when it's first introduced to the public. And then after a reasonable time, it will move a little closer into the center of the book or toward the back end of whatever category it is. And then down the line of ways, and this is driven by sales. And then that backlist will stay with us indefinitely.
It's got long legs. It's long term.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we have an enormous backlist, and I would love to see everybody go to Peachtree's website and just flip through that catalog.
Somebody, why don't you put one of you guys put the link up there on the chat wall for Peachtree. It's a lovely website. One of the publishers are notorious for having bad websites so often, but Peachtree has one of the nicest of them. It's
thank you.
Very comprehensive.
I didn't have a thing in the world to do with it.
Yeah.
Except for the books.
Well, you know, as the senior art director at Peachtree, Loraine has worked with some of the top children's book artists in the country, and she worked with wonderful artists. A lot of them have used watercolor over the years, and we have sent the link out repeatedly to the interview that Loraine gave to children'sillustrator.com, I think the directory, where you can see some of the beautiful covers of the books she was doing that year, getting ready to come out with. We'll repost that link so that you can take a look. You said wonderful things about what art directors expect to see from you in the way of your skill sets, and what, you know, they just don't have time to deal with anything that's less than excellent. Beautiful drawing, beautiful painting. I mean, her comments in there are really instructive. So we'll repost that link so you can make sure to read that very instructive article. One
of the things that got me out in front of people like Mark and a few others is SCBWI. I want to wave that little flag.
Okay, great.
If you're not a member, find the region that's closest to you and get with those folks. You'll love it.
I think most of you know what it is, of course, Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, and it is the professional organization for professionals doing it, as well as aspirants. And
yeah, they're international.
A port in every country you can go to. If you're traveling the world, if you're a member, you'll probably be welcome at any one of those chapter meetings.
You would, I'm sure.
Yeah, and be brought in. And Loraine, you might be at the Southern Breeze a conference maybe in March.
I sent the regional advisor a begging note today.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I told her I wanted to be there because we have 2 Peachtree people that are presenters there, and then wonderful art director Loraine.
Oh yes, Simon & Schuster, Loraine Lynn, who's just come out with his own illustrated middle grade reader chapter.
Yep.
Good.
I think one of the benefits, the big benefit, is that you are a person among your peers, and you're going to find that whatever level you are, as far as coming along in your trade, your profession, there's going to be other people in that chapter that are going to be at about the same level you are. And then there are going to be people that are published that are very, very good. Those are your mentors, in effect.
Yeah.
Because you do make friends with those people. You can get into a critique group where the philosophy is to give you a a sandwich lesson. You will get something nice, then you will get the meat of what needs to be said about the stage you're in right now with your work, how you could consider doing something different that might improve where you are. And then the bottom part of the sandwich is something nice again. Because nobody is out there to harm another person at all.
Uh-huh.
And it's just nothing but the warmest people in the world. You might go in a little scared and a little nervous.
Sure.
But I know I took one of the young women at Peachtree who was interested in going to Southern Breeze, is the name of the region here. And she said, "Oh, I'm so scared. I'm so nervous." I said, "Come with me. I'll take your hand. You'll be fine." And it was wonderful. She loved it, and she joined. And she is active in it now. So
we have a really strong chapter here in Austin as
well, you were regional illustrator coordinator.
Illustrator coordinator and for a few years, and been a member really since first started, before they even recognized illustrators as part of that equation. They've come a long way since then, but they were still always inspiring.
It started out just for the writers, yeah.
Southern Breeze has several states, southeastern U.S. states. I don't know what all they are.
We had Georgia, Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle.
Okay, just the three states. Okay,
right.
Okay.
And
so
Tennessee has Mid-South, and is Florida from the Panhandle down has another one. That's their own.
Oh, that's right. There's two in Florida, and
yeah,
one of the Florida members, Pascal, couldn't be with us tonight, but she has submitted some work, and we're so thrilled to have you. And we're equally thrilled, doubly thrilled to have you come back to us next month. Next month, it's the Hans Christian Andersen spot art sketches that we'll be looking at from.
Yeah, we're looking for character.
Looking for character development, and I'm going to send some quotes. Loraine had a lot to say about character sketching and creating characters in her interview that we're going to send out the link to. She really wants to look at your characters next week. No matter what they're doing, they got to be revealing their character.
There are many levels, as I was saying earlier, of skill and competency. And I'm going to be looking for, first of all, what is this level of skill, and what do I think might benefit with further study, specific study, and I'll get fairly specific as we go along.
Right.
Remember that this is meant in the kindest of ways to help you see what you might not have thought about otherwise. Here's the drawing where your arrow is right there. Okay. And I think that is quite a good gesture. And I think that gesture is very well done. There's motion in there. There's good volume in the body and the shell of the turtle. We see motion with his foot lifted to take a step. His head is up. He's got purpose and direction. And he is on the move, foot solidly planted on the ground. And we know he's probably in a desert setting somewhere with the rocky background and what appears to be a flat plain for the ground where he is. This could have been a little more dynamic, I think. You guys can't see my cursor, can you? The line at the base of the rocks that goes horizontally across the page. And look where the belly of the turtle seems to be. To me, that's a little bit too much in alignment. For the base of the rocks, I think I would break that line up some more and not have it maybe quite that.
It's right on the same line there, isn't it? I sure see what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and his belly is just barely below that line in the background, and I would pull him forward just enough or drop his body just enough to break that line a little bit more distinctly than it is here.
Okay, good.
So then let's move to the color.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see him, Loraine?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, without having commented on this before, I see that somebody did suggest that this artist break that straight baseline of, I thought it was rocks, but it looks like it's more of a mountain. It might make the turtle pull forward more if it were rocks back there. It would give, and I think she said this was not finished yet.
Okay.
And so she has managed to translate her weights and her volumes and her movements rather well from the gesture drawing to where she is now. But knowing that this is unfinished, I would expect to see some textures and subtle color differences coming into the turtle shell and perhaps his body as well. If she keeps these mountains as green mountains back there, we need to see very different greens. I think the sky itself is atmospheric enough and it's far back enough, but probably not the mountains. The green background mountain stuff, I would want it to indicate a little bit more of what it is. Is it trees, and are there different heights going on back there as the mountains step their way upward? This, on the right-hand side of the turtle, the mountain aspect is a little nebulous looking. Hello.
Sorry about that. That was me.
I know. Because I can't control it.
I'm putting the link to the folder up there on the chat wall, guys, in case you want to actually look at the work inside the folder, and then you're able to, zoom it up as large as you want or as small as you want.
They could pull it up on their own screen.
That's, yeah. So, okay. Back to. Okay.
I would love to see this turtle again when she's completely finished with it. Just wondered how much further she was planning to take this sketch or drawing or painting, but I'm expecting there is going to be more detail in that.
Yeah.
And I would introduce as much as she can, different kinds of greens back there for that mountain stuff, so that the turtle he stands alone and he pulls way forward. That motion is good, and they do kind of drag that trailing foot like that too. And then she might push the turtle's right leg, the one where the fingers are dragging, she might push that leg just a little bit higher to overlap the top edge of, or the edge of that shell a little bit more.
And why is that, Loraine? Because it's too close to the bottom of the edge of the frame, or?
I think that it needs to be a distinctive separation between well, I know the turtle's leg is going back up under there and into the shell, that he's lifting that foot, and he could just lift that foot maybe a tiny bit higher.
Okay.
She'll get a little bit more modeling, I think, into the various body parts as she moves forward with this.
Pull up Allison's piece. I've got it up there.
Now, I went to Allison's website. I went to as many websites as I could get to, and that was most of them. She is she's kind of a rootin' tootin'. She's got her red boots on. She's got her little bag. She's ready to go. She is full of energy and personality. She's excited about whatever's about to happen. And I think she is adorable. I also think that she needs a lot more practice. Allison needs practice, if you're listening, Allison, on body parts and shapes, and continue to refine those. You've convinced me that she's got a good grip on that handle. Well, I think that hand and that little bandana or ribbon that she's got on the handle are nice and solid. But then I see her little knees and the way the boots are kicked up. They're just a lot of tiny little things that can improve the shape of the little girl's body and her clothing, in fact. I believe if you've got, I think Allison was the person who's got a lot of beautiful little villages. And
yeah, she did the Thumbelina sketch where the little Thumbelina is riding on the back of the bird with a village below.
Yeah.
That's, yes. Uh-huh.
And then on her website, I think she's the one who's got the almost grandma mode, beautiful little villages and towns and farms. And I think there's a snow scene that's not quite aerial view, but a far distant view. Very Grandma Moses. And I appreciate and admire that she is trying to pull away from that and push herself into a more daring and committed expression of personality and intent with these single characters like this.
Moving from landscapes and settings to characters. What would you use to recommend to your artists, Loraine, about reference? Because children's reference is some of the hardest reference there is to find. How would you grapple with that problem?
Well, when I wanted to try to practice bodies, I bought one of those artist mannequins, the little wooden guy.
Yeah, adults though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a lady, and she's really flexible in it. And then they've got them of different sizes and genders, and so you could go to a good art store.
I want you to hold it up again because I missed it. I was on the screen share. Yeah. Well, yeah, those are great for like adult figures, but what about kids? There's nothing for.
I know they've got kids. I doubt they have small children.
I see. Okay.
But now there are some rules about the smaller kids, about head proportions.
Yeah.
In comparison to the rest of their body, about arm and leg length, in proportion to the torso. And so I would be willing to guess that there are books at the art supply stores or online that would give you almost a self-teaching body proportions and how to move that figure.
Yeah.
I don't think she needs to even try to get super realistic. That's obviously not what she's interested in, and it's not her forte.
Right.
She's good with the energy. She's good with the expressions.
So it's just a matter of just kind of getting the right proportions, maybe the head size in relationship to the rest of the body, and that's then the rest will have to just come from your observing of children and drawing them your own way, I guess.
Right. Good observation. And I would look for a book. And the other thing too, the mastery of character is going to be practice, practice, practice. The more you draw that little girl, the more she's going to emerge, and you will soon learn her. She'll almost teach you how to draw her. Yeah, draw her enough times, and she'll have you trapped and captured.
Okay. Do you want to go to the next one?
Yeah. There's a companion to that. Yeah. Now here is this. Now see, I think this is probably the same little character because of the color of the jumper. And I think she's got beads on.
Beads. Yeah.
I think this is a continuing part of the story.
Yeah, it is.
I find the background a little messy and wonder if that was put in after she drew the figure or painted the figure. And because it looks, I'm thinking that to do a piece like this, you would have to pencil it on your medium and use Frisket, and then do your background wash, and then come back with your character. And I think that that background would be a lot more successful. I'm tempted, see, to hold my hand up and just look at the figure itself. Because I think the little girl, I think she's more successful, except I find the bent pinky finger a little odd. Can't quite explain that. I think I'd rather see all the fingers just sticking up as though she's saying, stop.
She's saying, I think she's saying like maybe she's 4 years old. And
4 years old, okay. But the bent pinky is a little disconcerting to me.
Okay. This is really interesting because we're hearing Loraine talk aloud what she'd be thinking as an art director looking at sketches and final art too. Always trying to guess what's working.
I know I can get really, really nitpicky. The curve of the little girl's face along the bottom side where her chin and or the cheek to the right. Yeah, exactly where you're drawing, Mark.
Okay.
Are nice, even swoop. And then we have, if she's holding this hand up to say 4, this is almost as though the index finger is mashing into the cheek on the other side, because this line doesn't continue evenly. See what I'm saying?
The line up here.
Yeah.
Loraine.
That doesn't meet.
This one.
Follow that curve.
Yeah, it's not the. Right. Okay. Yeah. It should.
You can get back down here and push it up past the finger. You connect somewhere about even with the top of the nose. And so there's a little, it feels like that finger is pushing into the cheek.
Got it.
Okay. This is one of my favorite pieces. And the reason is this person has got a wonderful, wonderful mastery of that top-down perspective. And that is one of the things that I, as an art director, constantly look for. A different point of view. And this one has got, if you blow your image up a little bit, there's a little red-haired girl sitting on the nose of the panda balloon, and she is getting the most phenomenal view of the parade. I wish I were her. I would love to be sitting on the panda bear's nose. But she has got the feeling of how these things float in the air. The next figure in the parade is the elephant, and the way she has the swoop and swoosh of the towing lines that the crew down below are holding on to, that feels really, really good. The marching band is terrific. The pretty girls riding the elephants. It's just a joyous event. Her perspective is really good. I have a little grumble about the tops of the buildings at the very top of the format between the elephant and the bear's ear, but that can be resolved. That's easy fix to get the perspective on those buildings a little bit more accurate.
The perspective on the people is so good.
It's marvelous.
Yeah.
And this is a hard one to master too. Some people just come born with it. They know how to do it just right out of the bat, but off that. But not me. I'm not one of them.
Yeah, it's tricky.
And I think that's one of those things that takes a tremendous amount of practice. But because it's at this angle like that and it's up in a corner, you feel, you know for sure he's not falling. You feel that the weight of that balloon is being lifted by helium or whatever it's. If you take, if you draw a line from the top the top left corner down to the bottom right corner, you'll see almost that at half of that upper right section of the page is filled in with a lot of black, but then it's got that relief from the heaviness of all black by the white of the panda's head, and the band is marching in the right direction. we wouldn't want it marching away from us, but toward us.
Why is that?
It's to keep forward movement in a
Okay.
children's picture book.
From left to right. Is
Yeah, that's
okay.
the way we read. That's the way we turn the page.
You don't want things walking away from you.
Unless there's a really good reason. It can be somebody walking towards something else that stops them before they wander off the edge of the wet page. But just as a general rule, you want to keep all of the motion headed toward the right. I had a beautiful drawing of a girl on a horse, and it just broke my heart. But when I flipped it, I pulled JPEG into Photoshop and flipped it for her and sent it back to her. And I said, now this horse is going to get away. And she loved it. She saw it. And it's just a simple, tiny little thing, but it's something you have to think about.
Our biases, our hardwired biases, visually speaking.